Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. I want to change your mind and how things should be done as far as preparedness and prepping and having a stockpile. Let's pretend that your stockpile area is your basement. You have a basement, and let's say you actually have three giant metal shelves down there full of every canned food, dehydrated food, freeze-dried food that you can think of. Of course, you need to be prepared. Of course, you want to have those items. You want to have water and all these other things too. But when crap hits the fan, don't picture this as simply just a place where you're going to be sitting back in a recliner, munching on your cans of corned beef hash, and everything's going to be fine. We know that there's actually the wolf preppers who are going to try to come in and steal your items. We know that family and friends are going to try to come over. Even the government actually, in their plans through executive order, has it they can come into your house and take your stuff. Now, first off, I'm telling you that as a law-abiding citizen, you should not try to hide your food, but give it to the government. I have to tell you those things, obviously, because, we always have to look at not wanting to be an enemy of the state. But either way, let's pretend the government's not even coming out, but, your Uncle Jed's coming out or your friends and family, whatever the case may be. For many reasons, you're going to want to spread out your food. Do not keep it on those three shelves in the basement. Instead, you may want to actually look at finding other places to keep it. Sometimes a relative that you trust, and maybe they actually have certain stockpiles too. Maybe they actually have more of the equipment. You can actually hold some of their equipment. They can hold some of the food. I know some people actually get a storage room and keep the food in the storage room. Now, you do have to be careful through a lot of these, by the way. Like canned food, you don't want to let your canned food to go below freezing. You don't want it to go below 32. I mean, for a short amount of times and not very much below, it's probably not going to hurt it. But if there is water content in there, which there probably is, it could expand and bust the seals in the can, and it's going to render it useless. And also, you don't want it to get really warm either. They say for the cane manufacturers, don't go above 85 degrees, but I think they could probably tolerate much higher than that. But again, as they get warmer, they can expand out, and again, same thing, rupture the seals. But, keeping things in a storage room, most storage rooms are not climate controlled. And if you live like in Florida, for example, or maybe you actually live in the great white north of Michigan, if being in there very well could freeze the cans, or in Florida get too warm or hot inside those storage rooms. So keep that in mind. Something else too is we talk about burying our food. And I'm not against it. That's actually a good practice as well. But I'm going to show you in a minute some of the things to really think about when it comes to burying your food, by the way. Number one, depending where your frost line is, here in Michigan, it's 32 inches below. Is that right? 32? No, 42 inches below. Wow, I would have killed my own cans. And so if we actually try to get it 4 feet down, then that's actually going to work much better. We have giant barrels. They used to be pickle barrels. You can actually unscrew the top. Putting things inside of there actually keeps it so it's waterproof. But could you imagine digging down like 6 or 7 feet holes to actually bury those? I'm not saying it couldn't work. I'm not saying it's not worth the effort, but that's something you might have to consider depending on where your frost line is at. Something else, too, to keep people away from what you're looking at as far as maybe you have a small yard is it's time to actually plant a garden. It's time to actually plant a couple little bushes or some flowers. That's the perfect place to bury food. Again, you still have to go down quite low, but you know what? They see you outside digging. Oh, look, they're digging again as they walk by down your sidewalk. Yeah, you're actually burying your food right there or some of your items, and then you actually put some nice flowers right on top of it. Some really good techniques. But above all of that, what I really want to show you is what's called the art of deception, because deception is really the key. Let me kind of give you some ideas. If you decide to go ahead and take those 3 shelves full of food in your basement and start taking it all out and burying it or put it in a storage room, whatever, and the crap hits the fan, here comes Uncle Jed, goes down to your basement, he's like, that's weird. You had 3 shelves full here. I remember that. Where'd all the food go? And he knows that something's up. He still may not be able to find it, mind you, but he knows something's up. So what you want to do is make it look like, sure, I'm a prepper, but I'm not really as huge a prepper as basically I'm all bark and no bite. I used to talk about prepping all the time to you and the family, but in reality, I didn't really have a lot of extra money. So maybe actually just have 1 shelf and always have that shelf maybe like 3/4 full. Because if they come down, they'll say, oh, wow, you really didn't have a lot of stuff in the first place. You're like, nope, I didn't, as you have stuff buried out in the backyard. A deception. Now, if you simply take all the food off the shelf and bury it all, for example, or put it in different locations, and he comes down there, he's going to be like, where's your preps? I know they're somewhere. Again, they may not be able to find it. So you want to always put out deception. Your job is to try to make it anybody coming to your house, you get them to think what you want them to think. You want them to think that, yeah, I'm a prepper, but I don't really have a lot of food. I have some. And that way, if somebody does break in when crap hits the fan and they get that sum of food that's actually on that shelf, you still have a lot more in other locations. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend going against the government, but here's something, an idea that I want you to understand what people do. Going too far away from your house is actually one of those things where it may be kind of difficult. But if you're going to be burying food or stockpiling food somewhere like underground, whatever the case may be, doing it not on your property may be an idea. I'm saying again, I'm not telling you to break the law. Do whatever you feel like you need to do. That's up to you and the law and everything else. But you know what? Maybe you actually have some acres and you actually want to bury some food. The government, through warrants, if they know you're a prepper, wow, I've seen you guys watch Goshen Prepping before. Where's your preparedness stuff? Where's all your prepping food? They could actually start searching your property for that with a warrant. But the neighbor, maybe you actually even have a vacant lot. They don't think about the warrant over there. They don't think about searching their property. Not a bad place to possibly put some food, right? Or some supplies. Or maybe just down your road, there's another dirt road that goes off in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's ever down there. I'm not saying to go on other people's property to trespass. I would never tell you to do that. But you know what? If your stuff's there, that's not, I'm telling you to do that. That's between you and that person. So there's a lot of things you can do to try to make it so you deceive people and let them to see what they have. You see what you have, but don't make it so you have too much or too little, because too little won't work. They know better than that. People aren't dumb. So make sure you do that. Now, the last thing I want to tell you is this. If the government does start coming around and confiscating food, again, officially you're supposed to be giving that food, share the wealth. But if they come through and they say, hey, buddy, we know everybody's kind of like starving right now, so we have some MREs for you. There's actually a civilian version of MREs, and we're going to give you some. Do you need any? The answer is yes, I really do need some. Because understand, if they come to your house and want to give you an MRE, oh, you don't want one? You already have your own food? That's interesting. What do you have in there? No, the answer is yes. Oh, sir, thank you. I've been starving. I haven't had enough food in the last couple of weeks, so I really need some of the food, and go ahead and take it. I'm not saying you need to eat it. Maybe you can give it to somebody else in your neighbor who actually needs a little bit more. But either way, do not cause a flag to go up by telling them, oh, no, I'm good. I've got enough food. Just give it to somebody else. That is not your answer. So it's all about deception. Really try to play the game to make it look like, you know what, I'm just a regular average Joe citizen, and I don't have a lot of preps. That is the key. Thanks for watching.